Hello and welcome to another tier list video. Today we are taking a look at one of my favorite pieces of furniture, the chair. I mean, everybody likes to sit and everybody likes to sit in a comfortable chair. So today I'm going to be looking at lots of different chairs and ranking them based on, how much do I like sitting in them, how comfortable are they, how useful are they as a chair. So starting us off, we have kind of the El Clasico, the metal folding chair. Now, there's not anything really awful about the metal folding chair. It's durable, it's reliable, it's cheap, but it's not comfortable. It's really not. I mean, if you're sitting in it for a short period of time, there's really nothing wrong with a metal folding chair. But metal folding chairs are usually something you might have at like a school assembly. They're cheap, they're easy to store, they're quick to set up, but they are not comfortable. So while they are versatile, the fact that you can't really sit on a metal chair for an extended period of time without some serious discomfort, metal chairs are going to have to find themselves down in the C tier. Up next, we have your standard office chair. Now, office chairs are a chair that I can really like sometimes and then really dislike other times, all depending on the style of the chair. There are some office chairs, like the one I have here, literally like a $45 chair I got off Amazon. And honestly, super comfortable. But there's other office chairs that I've sat in like office buildings that are, probably $150, $200 office chairs, and they're less comfortable. So office chairs are ones where you can very easily overpay for a chair that's really not that good. But when you do get a good office chair, there is nothing like it. I mean, this chair I've had for 2 years, super comfortable, it was cheap, it was easy to set up. Office chairs overall, just really comfy if you get a good one. So office chairs, sure, there's some overpriced bad apples out there, but I still really can't put it anywhere below the S tier. Up next, we have our classic folding lawn chair. Now this one is just a really useful one. As you can see, they fold up into kind of like a long, skinny cylinder thing. These chairs are really nice, if you're hanging out outside, around a campfire or something, or going camping, or just going somewhere where maybe you're going to a football game or a soccer game where there's no bleachers. Set one of these bad boys up, they fit in your trunk really easily, they're pretty light to carry around. Just a really useful chair overall. I won't say they're super comfortable, but they do have a cup holder, which is going to get a couple extra points in my mind. So, lawn chair, folding chair, going to find itself up in the A tier. Up next, we have the cushioned lawn chair. Now, this is one that I've actually only sat in a couple times, and I didn't really even know they existed until a couple years ago. But the cushioned lawn chair is pretty much just the lawn chair, but it's got a little bit of extra padding, and this thing is really nice. It's about as close as you can get to a sofa outside. I mean, it's not the same as a sofa, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that, but it is really comfortable, and they're pretty nice. As you can see here, this is pretty similar to the chair I sat in. It's a big chair, it's comfy, it's cushiony. This one doesn't appear to have a cup holder, but mine did have a cup holder, so just a useful chair. And this one, a really nice one if you want to, sit on a chair, watch a soccer game or something in the fall. So this one, very solid, also going to find itself up in the A tier. Up next, we have hammocks. Now, hammocks is probably one of my favorite ways to sit or lie down, if you will, outside. I love hammocking. I love going hammocking, hanging out with friends, in the woods or a park. And, just hanging out, talking, listening to music, read a book. It's just a great way to enjoy the warm weather outside. And hammocks, probably my favorite chair on this list, to be honest. Not really one you'd want to, sit up in front of your computer, but a hammock, if you're outside, for me, there's really nothing like it. And it's going to find itself up in the S tier. Up next, we have outdoor wooden chairs. Now, these, I find, are often quite expensive. I mean, you see something here. This is something you might have on your deck or your patio in your backyard. And honestly, they look really nice. They look visually very appealing. But for me, wooden chairs just really, they don't do it for me. They're not terribly uncomfortable, but they're really not that comfortable. If I'm sitting outside, I want there to be at least a little bit of cushion or a little bit of give to the chair. So outdoor wooden chairs, I think they're a bit overrated, a bit overhyped, and they're going to find themselves down in the C tier. Up next, we have another folding lawn chair, but this is the one with the kind of plastic interwoven mesh. I see these at the store all the time. They're super cheap, and for good reason. I mean, these things are pretty trash. I've seen these things break so many times on people sitting on them. Basically, the mesh is like made of plastic, and people sit on them, or they sit something heavy on them, or they sit down too fast, and it just rips, and the chair breaks. So this chair, absolute trash, gonna find itself down in the F tier. Up next, we have the reclining lawn chair. Now, these chairs are awesome. These are the kind of chairs that I like to have on my deck or my patio. They're super nice, they're pretty comfortable, and then they can also recline. They have like a little lever so you can lean back, lean forward. Just a super versatile chair, and I would say if I'm on a deck, probably the best chair I could ask for. You know, you can sit up straight, you can kind of lean back to lay down a little bit. Just a great chair, really not even that expensive either, so gonna find itself up in the S tier. Up next, we have the indoor sofa recliner. This is a classic. I mean, we had a recliner in my house growing up, and it was always my favorite chair to sit in when I was watching a movie. You know, just kick up the footrest, lean back, enjoy the movie. Super comfortable. You know, you could fit like 2 or 3 people on it, honestly. It was a big chair, really comfortable, definitely pricey, but for me, gonna be a very, very solid A tier. Up next, we have the desk chair 2-in-1. Now these, you'll find these in pretty much every single college classroom. As far as comfort, they're really not bad. But I don't love the 2-in-1 desk chair because I'm somebody who likes to scoot at my chair pretty close to the desk, whereas when you have the 2-in-1 desk chair, it's a fixed distance. So I either have to lean forward to get close to my desk or like scoot up in the chair. So not my favorite part, but one really great sometimes unknown thing about the desk chair 2-in-1, it is the perfect back cracker. Because the chair usually comes up to about my upper mid back, and the desk is of course fixed to the chair. You take the desk and you push on it, and you lean back, and you can crack your back perfectly. I mean, there's so many days where I've gotten to class kind of groggy and tired, but you get that back crack in, and it's a great stretch. So the chair, in terms of comfort, not great. But the back cracking capabilities are fantastic, so it'll find itself up in the B tier. Up next, we have the massage chair. Now this, I mean, what can I say about this? Massage chairs are fantastic. I don't know if you guys have been in a massage chair like this, but basically this one also has a spot for your legs to go, and it also massages like your thighs and your calves. And then I've also been in one where you put your arms in these little holes, and basically massages your arms as well. So massage chairs, what can I say? They're really nice. If you're feeling sore, massage chair, there's nothing quite like it. Gonna find itself up in the S tier, even though they are super expensive, and I probably won't buy one because of that. When you do get to use one, they're great. Up next, we have the gaming chair. Now, as you could probably guess, a very popular chair among gamers. And I will say that these chairs are pretty comfortable. I've sat in them a handful of times. But for me, it's a bit like buying a Nike product. Like, it's good quality, but you could probably get the same quality of product for, an off-brand, company. But if you buy Nike, you're paying for the Nike logo. I feel the same thing for a lot of gaming chairs. Is you're kind of paying for the product logo, you're paying for the fact that it is a gaming chair. In my opinion, you can find, office chairs online for probably a third of the price, and it'll really be just as comfortable, but it won't be called a gaming chair, it won't have the name brand on it. Like my chair, $45, a gaming chair, you're probably looking at $150 to $200 for some of the top of the line ones, maybe even more beyond that. But they are still really solid chairs. I would put them in the S tier, but for me, I find them just to be a little bit overpriced, so they'll find themselves in a very solid A tier. Up next, we have the sheep chair. Now, this is, of course, a very common chair. You probably see it all over the place. Basically, a chair made of sheep's wool, and then there's multiple sheep's head. You have one sheep's head for each of the armrests, and then another sheep's head that you can kind of lean your back on and tilt your head back onto. Sheep's chair, very versatile, very useful. Just don't put this one outside because it does absorb a lot of water if it gets wet. But the sheep's chair, really nothing bad to say about it. Best chair on this list, gotta be up in the S tier. Moving on to the rocking chair. This is, as I think of it, as your grandma's chair. Rocking chairs, they're kind of nice. Oftentimes I find that they're like this, that they're a wooden rocking chair. And that's not super comfortable because especially when you're rocking, it doesn't feel great on your back. But if you do have a rocking chair that has some cushions on it, I find those to be much more comfortable. And the rocking sensation is really nice. Maybe you have a baby that you're putting to sleep on the rocking chair. Or, you just want to read a book and rock them back and forth a little bit. Pretty nice chair. Not super comfortable oftentimes because they don't have cushions, but some of them certainly do, and I would certainly favor those. So, rocking chair, gonna find itself in a solid B tier. Up next, we have the bar stool. Now, this is a chair that it really depends on where you're sitting. If I'm just sitting on a chair, a bar stool is really uncomfortable. But if I'm at a table where I can kind of like lean my hands on something or set my arms on something, then I don't mind a bar stool nearly as much. Like if I'm at a table eating dinner, a bar stool is certainly fine. But if I'm sitting and I need to sit up straight, bar stool really not great for that because of course there's no back support for it. So if you're at a table, definitely serviceable. But if you're not, pretty uncomfortable. So that's going to average out to about a C tier for bar stools. Up next, we have the stability ball, yoga ball, whatever you want to call it. I don't really mind sitting on these. Back in school, I had a math teacher who, if we were good, he would let us replace our chair with a stability ball. And that was always super fun because, only a few people got to do that in class each day. So when that was you, that felt great. But honestly, they're really not the best. I mean, as they are called, I believe they do help your stability, help slightly strengthen your core. It's supposed to be a little good for your back, especially if you have poor posture in a regular chair. So there definitely are advantages, but just in terms of comfort, it's not quite as good. Similar to a stool, there's no back for your, back to rest on, which I think is part of the point. But stability balls, they're useful. They're decently comfortable, to sit on. But you really gotta focus because there's no back support. So stability balls, they're solid, but not my favorite, but they will still find themselves in a B tier. Up next, we have the hanging chairs. These, honestly, I feel like are more for fashion than they are for function. They certainly look cool, and some of them can be comfortable, but I found that hanging chairs, usually they're just kind of annoying because if you're sitting on them and your feet are on the ground, you're fine. But if you lift your feet up, sometimes you'll just end up slowly turning into a direction that you don't want to go, and then you got to put your feet back down and move yourself. So I've had times where I was sitting in a hanging chair like this outside, and I was having a conversation with someone, and I had my feet up, sitting crisscross, and the wind kept blowing, and I kept on slowly turning away from the conversation, and then I would have to put my feet back down, move myself back over. So, they look nice, but in terms of functionality, it's just not quite there for me. So hanging chairs gonna find themselves in a C tier. Up next, we have the sofa chair. Now, honestly, this one kind of similar to a recliner in terms of comfort, but of course, it does not recline. But sofa chairs, honestly, they're really nice. They're great for your living room, great to sit and watch a movie, great to sit in and watch a book. Just really comfy chairs, great for indoors. Wouldn't want this one outdoor. But in your living room, there's nothing really quite like it, so it's going to find itself in a solid A tier. Up next, we have beanbags. Now, beanbag chairs are kind of nice. It depends on where you're at. I would never want to sit in a beanbag chair where I have to sit up and do something. Like, I never want a beanbag chair if I'm sitting at my desk or at a table. But if you're sitting and watching a movie or, playing video games, I think a beanbag chair is definitely serviceable. It feels pretty good to just sit back, and you can kind of manipulate a beanbag chair to kind of the form of a chair you want, which I think is really good. It gives a lot of flexibility. Some people, they want more of the beanbag to be behind them. Some people want to be more on top of the beanbag. So beanbag, versatile, flexible, you can really make it your own. And for me, that's good enough for the A tier. Up next, we have I'm honestly not even sure what to call this chair. It's like a bungee chair or net chair. Basically, these were common ones to have in your dorm room because they could fold up really skinny, so they're really easy to pack and bring somewhere, and really easy to store in your room if you need to make room for something else. But honestly, I think they're relatively comfortable. They're somewhat similar to a beanbag chair where they do have that flexibility where, you can sit in it a different ways depending on where you, put your butt down in the net. The chair is going to form up a little bit differently, but I find that these are really pretty comfortable. Some of them have like skinnier netting, some of them have like thicker netting. I find that the thicker netting ones are a bit more comfortable. If you have really skinny netting, it kind of feels like you're just sitting on a bunch of ropes. But most of the time, I find these chairs to be pretty comfortable, and while I certainly wouldn't want to sit on my desk or a table and do something, it's perfectly fine to watch TV or, like I said, play video games. Pretty similar to a beanbag chair, but just not quite as good as a beanbag chair for me, but still good enough to find itself in a B tier. Well, that's my list. Let me know if I forgot any chairs. If you have a chair that you really like or dislike that you would have liked to see me rank, let me know down in the comments below, and hope you guys enjoyed.